Peace, peace, peace. Special shout out to Mr. Encore and a dope introduction song. I never that song never gets old. I was like, for season 3, do I do, which we're a ways away from season 3, but I was like, do I do another joint? Do I hit up Mr. Encore again? But this is just, that's like classic. I'm starting to think that that's like changing the Jefferson song. I don't think I can do that. That is too fire. So shout out to Mr. Encore. Shout out to Mama Hill. They over there doing their thing. If you haven't had a chance to get over there, Rockwell Avenue, Jaline. It's right on Rockwell and Jaline. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact address, but if you from LB, you know it as the old. Well, first it was like, I remember it as, was it CNC Chicken, and then it was Cutter's Corner. I remember that's Cutter's Corner. 2 times over it was Cutter's Corner. Shout out to Miss Louise, who was a Black business owner who had that Cutter's Corner jumping when we was kids. And then Mike Priest came through. Him and Bourne, they did their thing with a kind of Cutter's Corner part 2 over there in the same spot. So a lot of history in that area and in that spot, in that building. But great vegan food. If vegan food is your thing, that's the spot. And even if you're experimenting, like, that's how I hit off with it. It was like I was just experimenting, and it's good, and it's definitely enjoyable, and they're definitely over there doing their thing. With that said, we are back for another episode. Fire episode coming your way on the Purpose and Practice podcast with your host. I am Dr. Rawls Dill. Remember, what we're trying to do here, what we are doing, I'm not even going to say trying, what we're doing here is bringing stories to a platform. I believe everyone has a story. I believe everyone has a narrative, and everyone has a voice. But sometimes we don't have platforms for those voices and platforms for those narratives. So this podcast is about reaching back and bringing forward. And that's why we have that Sankofa bird there as one of the representations of our show. And tonight we get a chance to really vibe with a brother that I've known practically all of my life, man, going all the way back to our middle school days together. And probably, I'm sure we ran in and bumped heads together even before middle school. But this is a brother that has really, when you talk about a grind, you talk about, being the epitome of kind of sticking to things and seeing things through, and taking a route that is not like just the straightforward route, and I'm a big fan of people who take different routes to their destination, because a lot of times young people who are out there listening, sometimes you think just because you don't accomplish a certain goal at a certain time or a certain stage of your life, you sometimes can think that, oh, my life is ruined. I'm a failure. I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'm not going to look good in this person's eyes or that person's eyes. And I think the story that we're going to hear tonight is really going to be a testament to having a vision, sticking to your vision, and the epitome of kind of doing your work, and just kind of staying low. I think, who was it? Stay low and keep firing. I don't know if that was a Biggie or Jay-Z, but just kind of staying on the low and just doing your thing. So with that said, we got a brother tonight, brother Mr. Terrence King, educator, crazy athlete, coach, mentor to kids, a husband, a father, an uncle, all those things, man. Teacher. Welcome to the show, Terrence. How you feeling tonight, brother?
I'm all right, Dr. Ross. Thank you for having me on this show. I always wanted to get on here and vibe with you. You're doing your thing with this purpose and practice. So I'm glad to be on the show tonight.
Bro, I'm happy to have you, man. The list is long I want everybody on here, like, I just think we need this. This is something we need, man, so I'm definitely coming for everybody. Even though you might not think I'm coming for you, I'm coming for everyone, to get onto the show, because these stories out here, man, our young kids need to hear them, and be inspired by them, young people rather. But also, it's like we need to have a history that we can go back as a collective. And that's the main reason I want this, is to have these things. We talk about giving people their flowers. That's how I see this. I see this as an opportunity to do just that. So thank you for being patient, brother. So T, man, lot going on right now, and I know we're gonna get to um you shared something, an Instagram post today that was like very powerful and kind of hit on your journey. And you had a major milestone of an accomplishment today. And I know we're going to talk more about about that as we go on tonight. But if you don't mind, man, just drop it so the community can hear. You fresh off of tonight. A major accomplishment.
Yeah, man. Today, I finished my mass in special education. I went back to school and got my bachelor's 3 years ago. Just knocked out 30 credits in my master's program for special education, and today was my last.
Wow.
I was at school at 6:30 in the morning, grinding. I turned in my last portfolio, a 10-page paper. And I knocked it out. My capstone too. I knocked it. I got 100 so far in class, and I knocked it out. Press enter, and that was my last assignment that I had to hand in. So it was a major accomplishment. I think I'm the first one in my family, around our age, to have a master's.
Yo, that's what's up, man. It's nothing like pressing that last enter or
Yeah,
submitting that last assignment, right?
yeah. A little tear came out my eye. I was by myself. I gave myself a little fist bump, and just it was a sign of relief, frustration, and just tears. And people just don't know the behind the scenes. People who will support me just said, "Man, just stick to your plan, and just stick to it. Stick to the script." And that's what I did. I'm on cloud nine right now. I still just believe, like. I got my master's degree because I know it was people out there who thought I would never accomplish something like this, and
And that's
hey man,
something. What you just said, T, is one of the things that we definitely going to get into tonight, man. We're all motivated by different things, right? There's some of us who are motivated. I know I'm motivated myself when people feel like you can't accomplish, like I can't accomplish something, and sometimes, and I don't know if this is the competitor in me or the athlete in me, like I'll make it up in my head that people want me to fail. Like I'll just even though even though that might not be the case, I'll make it up in my head to kind of push me to do even more. Do you feel that? You feel me on that?
always it's the competitor in me, and I know,
Yes.
like during my I think my lowest grade, I think between 3 years of schooling, I think I have all A's and one C.
Mm, mm. That's what's up. That's what's up.
That all A's between my bachelor's and my master's, everything were A's and one C.
That's what's up,
Still
man.
myself in the butt with for allowing, I mean, I asked somebody to help me, and my wife was like, "Don't you ever do that again."
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
That
just about nine right now.
that in when I remember being an undergrad, right? And there's so much maturity that we need to reach the level of really some of us anyway. For me, I'm speaking. Like my undergrad was like crazy whack. Like my GPA, I don't even remember it, but it was like I was in the low twos, you know what I'm saying? Just scratching two. Because it was like I was still finding myself, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? When I was doing my master's, I was an adult, and I was a professional. So it changed my mind
yes,
state a lot. Would you agree with that?
yes. When, like you said before, I didn't get the opportunity to finish school, and people got to realize that I had two kids by the time I was 21. And I was
Wow.
a father. I had a kid in high school, and not too many people knew that. My mom and my family wanted to protect me from that while I was still in high school playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now, like I told my kids, this is the reason why I went back to school, to tell you that it's never ever too late to go back to school and accomplish something that you want. And I wanted this so bad for myself, not for my kids, but just for myself.
True.
And like you said, it's just a competitor in me. Like, yo, listen, I got a 97. I got to bump that grade up to a 99 or 100.
Word.
You know, I hated getting 95s and 96 and like, nah, I'm not, no. So,
Word, but in high school we wasn't even on it like that, and
no.
that and I know that you working with student athletes now, and you and I, we even had a chance to coach together for several years, and that was one of the things that we were always, to preach, and shout out to Coach George out there, who is on his last final season, man, and having a great season at that, with Long Branch football team. But shout out to him, in terms of his commitment to young people for all of these years, man, all of these years. Yeah, so we always were in the young kids' ears and the young men, in our case, coaching football, just explaining to them the importance of grades, the importance of being good students and being students first.
Yes.
So we got just jumped in. Shout out class of 1994. I see Duke is up in here as well. Shout out to you, Duke, doing your thing out in there in Florida. You brothers is definitely doing y'all thing. And another two that I'm really looking to get on to the show and share their stories as well. So Coach King, like, one of the things that we love to do, man, on the show is we love to go back and hear the stories, of our guests, coming up and growing up and what it was like. So if you don't mind, bro, if you can go back and start to tell your story, man, where you grew up, what growing up was like, and all of that.
We grew up when I first moved from, my mom and dad is from Asbury Park. She moved us out when we were like first grade. We moved to Long Branch. We lived on Laurel Street in Long Branch over there by the old Gregory School.
True.
And it was a 2-family apartment. I lived in the house with 16 people in a 3-bedroom apartment. I'm not ashamed to tell nobody my story. I mean, we had roaches, you had mice, we were on welfare. And then it was one point, I know I saw my mom, she just broke down one day, and she's like, I want a better life than you, for you and your brothers and sisters. She wound up basically telling my family who was living with us, we can't do this no more. I'm moving my kids into a better home, a better situation, and I want more for them than what she had. So we wound up moving to Laurel Street, behind Lippincott, and I lived there for 18 years on 96. Wow. My mom always pushes to go to school. You're going to be respectful. You're going to do your homework. If you can't do that, you're not playing sports. And I know one thing my mom always told to us is like, I'm going to hold you accountable. So if you want to go out on the streets and you want to be disrespectful, or you want to do drugs or what, don't call me. That's not what, I'm not helping you. And me and my brother, she says it to us today. I thank God, y'all straight on that straight narrow path, and y'all became great fathers. You're role models to your kids, and people in your neighborhood. And so that's where Laurel Street, we had memories for days. Between going on, the Pook side of Long Branch. That's
shout out to the Pook side.
The Pook side, and then Shannon and Cleves and Dave Reevy was our football coaches growing up.
Yes.
We could play 7th Avenue with Bishrod Johnson, Khalif Johnson, Reggie King, all of Kevin Crawford. We would come over to the old Garfield Court, the old CV Manor, play.
And play, yes.
Play Huggy, Alvin Wynn, and all those guys. It made us so tough, and and growing up, once you got to the middle school, that's when I really, I met you, Judge, Wise, Jay Corley, Duke, and then that's when, the bonds and the relationships were formed with JJ and Mark Dennis. And
yeah, man. It is crazy because we were all running around basically in the same hood.
Yes.
But it does seem like, we ain't really connect until middle school, because you didn't play Pop Warner, right?
No, I never played football at all until I got into high school.
Okay.
My mom, she was like, if you want to play, but I was like, To be honest, at first I was scared to play football. And then my high school, when I took that first hit, I'm like, this is what they've been doing. I'm like, man, I missed out so much. I'm like, and then, freshman year, we went undefeated. And after that, we just, sophomore year, we was undefeated. Junior year, we was 1 yard away from going to the playoffs against Neptune. And then senior year, we went 10-1. So
true. And let's go back a little bit. We got to go back a little bit. So you talked about not playing organized football. I won't say football, but not playing organized football until your freshman year. So what were you doing in terms of organized sports prior to that? Were you doing any, or was it track, anything?
I was doing cross country and track, and and that's when I just fell in love with track, and I wish I would have just took that more seriously. And then when I came out 6th grade, I didn't run track in 6th grade. I don't know why I didn't. I came out 7th grade, and Mr. Hall and Coach Odom, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. Mr. Hall and Coach O. Yes, rest in peace.
And they introduced me to the 400. It was like, yo, you can be great at the 400. I'm like, I don't want to run a 400. It was like, listen, just listen to me and you'll be fine. And Coach O, you should make me run distance to build me up for the 400. And, after that, I just took off in the 400. I don't think I've never lost a 400 race in like 4 or 5 years. Like, be the champions by senior year. Yeah.
So it was them kind of recruiting you into the whole track thing.
Yeah.
Were you always just fast? Did you know you were like, did you have that skill that you knew did you feel confident like, yo, I'm fast?
I mean, I knew I was always fast because, in Gergie school, you're always racing outside during recess, and I would beat the older kids and they would get mad. One day I know G. Duran, he was like, oh, you can't beat.
He was fast. He was fast.
Center. And Alvin was like, yo, everybody was betting like dollars. I know. And then was like, I think Newt was like, yo, he gonna get him. And it wasn't even close.
Wow.
It wasn't close.
Wow.
Newt won like $50 off. Newt gave me like $5. He's like, yo, take this young G. He gave me $5. And I was just happy, And
wow.
And like I raced Alvin Wynn back in the center, he but Alvin was older than me, and they was like, yo, he legit. That track, it just took off.
Yeah, because I mean, G was notoriously fast, man.
Yes.
Notoriously fast. And Alvin, I mean, that's just a legend. That's just legend when you say that name. The things that he was able to do athletically. I just remember him in Tim's and jeans just doing things that was just unbelievable. So you in basketball too. If it's funny because Duke was up on here. Shout out to LA. And Just was up on here, and we, I know we had basketball stories together in middle school as well. So basketball you played.
Yeah, basketball 6th grade, 7th grade, middle school. Paz used to call me Sweet Daddy King.
Yeah, you was his favorite, man. Yeah. You was one of them anyway. You were one of his favorites.
And just basketball, just hustling. I was more like I tell people more. In sports you got to have a role, and I took a role of being a defensive player, and like sort of like Gary Payton the glove. Like, no, I mean if you average 20 points, you might get 5-7 points, and I'm gonna chirp in your ear all day, but you're gonna get frustrated, and we're gonna compete. But you're not scoring 20 points on me. That's not happening.
I remember that. It's funny that you bring that up because I remember that in you, especially for basketball, of doing a lot of like role playing things, playing good defense, taking pride in playing good defense, which is not always the case. You know what I'm saying? It's not always. Is that something that you just feel like you were inspired to just be like to shut somebody down, or was it like I'm not a good offensive player, so I want to make sure that I do my thing to help the team in some way? Where did you get that inspiration to really, as a middle school, you don't see middle school kids taking pride in defense like that all of the time?
I knew I wasn't a great offensive player. You're gonna get your layups, fast breaks, turnovers, some free throws. And you just knowing your role, like, hey, I got these other guys. I know they're going to score. They're better scorers than me. So why not? If you want to get on that floor, you better have something. You better come with something. And you know, being assigned to somebody's best offensive player and saying, you know what, you're on the island by yourself.
Mm.
You know that person's going to ball every time. All right, then, let's go. Let's rock. And you bring that little bit of that center mentality with you, like, yo, you had to guard Noop, Stan, Alvin.
Yeah, yeah,
This kid's
yeah.
not his kid's not them, so you ain't scoring at all. So, you know,
True. True. In those kind of, I forget. I had someone on, we were talking about, playing behind the center. And there was a lot of pressure when you were young playing behind the center because I mean, it was one of those spots where if you lost a game, you
he was
probably were not going to get back on
right.
for a while. You know what I'm saying? So in the older heads that you were playing with, they wasn't trying to take no L. So you never wanted to be the one to be like the
Yeah,
cause of
yeah.
losing the game.
Nah, you ain't want that. You might get the ball hit at you,
Yeah.
putting you in the corner kick, so you was back there. It was like
Word.
100 people back, like,
Word.
3 games, you had a good day, You lost that first
Word.
one, you go home,
Yo, it was shout out to Mark up over here. Mark knew what time it was, and it was like they would match us up, like they would match like the young heads up on the team. Like it would be like one of us, they will, and you know what? And that's the crazy thing is like you're talking about the hood taking care of the young. And I believe that's a true reality. It was in our case. We were fortunate enough to have that. A lot of the old heads looked out for us, and they will always pick one of us up on every team. So we always had an opportunity to play and experience that playing underneath them, whether it was Stan, you talked about Newt, Dathan, Kev Gilliard, like all of them, man, like they will always do that to give us that exposure. So, I think back to those days all the time because it's like if you can do that and play under that kind of pressure, then playing in a high school gym, or middle school gym is like nothing.
It's nothing.
True. So you get to high school. You talked a little bit about freshman football, and that was your first introduction to freshman football and playing, organized football. Anyway, talk to us a little bit about your early experiences in the classroom, like coming as a freshman. Like, what was it like experiencing high school? And then talk to us about how athletics kind of helped you to be a better student.
When I was younger, I know going to Gregory School, middle school, I struggled a lot in academics, and I'm not ashamed to tell people that. And as the years as I was a little immature, and as I got, they I thank her every day, and we talk every day, is Miss Sandy Munson, and she's like, Terrence, you got to grow up. You're gonna go to middle school, you have to grow up a little bit. Middle school, it was still boom, and then like 7th grade, 8th grade, I can see, my growth started to happen. I was taking things more seriously, being more focused, becoming a better studier. I mean, for me, flashcards and sitting down there at the table with my mom, and getting hit inside your head because But as I got older, it came more naturally to me. Like I said, I was a late bloomer academically, and I was a B/C student in high school, and like you couldn't bring D's home to our house. You weren't sports. I'm C's, so but maybe it was like B-B, something like that in high school, and then you get the. I think what helped me with sports is my mom was like, yo, listen, you either gonna sink or you're gonna swim. So what you gonna do? And that just made me more just, dive into the books a little bit more, study a little bit more, 10, 15 minutes more. God, I mean, yeah, we have video games, but during the weekdays, we weren't allowed to play video games in Sandra King house. You didn't do that.
It was just work. It was just focus.
It was just work. And I think by her pushing me, academically, it helped me. Teachers that I had, Mr. Costa, Miss,
Mm.
it was the science, Mrs. Miss Alexander.
Oh yeah, yes, yes, yes,
You know,
yes. Shout out to Miss Alexander and Mr. Costa, man.
I still,
Yeah,
Mr. Who was the tennis coach? Mr. Kurtz,
Mr. Kurtz. Yes,
Kurt,
yes, yes, yes.
Miss West, all those guys. And they just push you. You take a little bit of everything, the conversations you had, and you just store them in the back of you. And I mean, I know I had plenty of conversation with Miss Odom because she ran that summer program, and
Mm-hmm.
parents take the academics too serious. I had a lot of conversations, still when I was in high school with Miss Munson, who was my third grade teacher. And she
And you maintain that relationship with her.
relationship to this day, me and Miss Munson
Wow,
has a relationship.
that's dope. That's dope. And you know, you talk a lot about mom, and a huge shout out to your mom, Miss King. Always good people, supportive of us growing up. Always remember had all the games, all the time. Every time you looked up, she was there. And also, and you mentioned earlier, Reggie, he was obviously what was Reggie, 2 years ahead of you? 2 years? Yeah, two, right? Or three?
Too.
Two. So that must have been something that made things a little easier for you or maybe more difficult, because, Reggie was a phenomenal student, a phenomenal athlete, and was just a cool dude and, well-known dude in the school. How was that like having a big brother like Reggie, man, and being under him?
Yeah, I mean, being under him was great, man. We would have conversation. We look at it back now, and we're old enough now. I mean, that I can lean on him for support, or we talk. I mean, we don't talk that much often because I'm busy, he busy. But
Hmm.
once in a while, I'll pick up the phone, like, yo, what you think? X, Y. He'd be like, yo, T, if you do it this way, that way, and then you like, and I'll call him back a week later, be like, yo, damn, appreciate that. But being in high school, I think after they left and I was handed basically the job to him, but being that running back after him, it was
Mm,
so much high expectations that really I tell people my junior year was a failure because I was trying to be him
mm,
himself,
mm.
and I knew my summer, going into my senior year, I said I will never feel that way again, ever.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and then that's when I was like, we're training. I mean, Corley's dragging me to the weight room. We're going running. We're going to the beach. We're sometimes we would go to we would get invited to Coach Conti's summer beach workout.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
you're just you're training so hard, you're just throwing up. You like, you got to push through it. And then I was like, that, I want to be as myself, not Reggie's little brother, and then once that senior year came, I'm like, yo, I'm here. I'm T King. I'm not Reggie's little brother anymore.
And but you you started as, and you mentioned Jay, and when we think about you and Jay, both of you didn't play organized football until freshman year,
Yeah,
and you end up being, forget about our team, which was crazy talented. You end up after 4 years being two of the top football players in the state of New Jersey.
yeah.
You know, and I wanted to ask you, like, was there a time where you felt like you were not encouraged to continue early on, like as a freshman, as a sophomore? Did you ever feel like, all right, this is not for me, but then you managed to stick with it? Did
Yeah.
you ever have a moment like that?
Remember sophomore year, I thought I should have been playing more. I thought I should have been a starter, and I was just like, man, f this, I'm done. You know,
Uh-huh.
if that's the way I want to go. You know what I mean? I sat down with my mom. She was like, "Oh, listen, this is the real world. And this is
True.
XD." And she had a heart. We had a heart to heart conversation. She said, "One thing you're not going to do is quit. You're not quitting. So that's not an option." So you need to figure it out. You need to go back to practice, and we'll if you don't want to play the following year, but you're playing. Sometimes now you got parents that be like, "Oh, just quit. It's the coach's fault."
Yeah.
Like, nah, it ain't nobody's fault but yourself. What are you doing? What are you doing? So I'm looking at her like, damn, mom. Like, yo, she was just dropping, She had my uncle call me and was like, yo, listen, you're not quitting. That's one thing that King, you're not doing.
Not gonna do. Not gonna do.
And after that, I finished the season. I wind up starting at like the last couple of games, and then our junior year, but that was that. I mean, yeah, I didn't want to play football anymore. And she was like, no, you're not doing that. So you better figure it out.
It's funny because I know, a lot of that sophomore year, I know Jason played a lot. He played a lot that year. I do remember you playing some. I remember Mark playing, even just playing a lot as a sophomore. Outside of special, not even special, because we all found our way, special teams. Like we all found our way on the field sophomore year that way. But you all were even playing outside of special teams, getting, reps in there. So I can definitely understand, and I think Jay may have been starting. Yeah, right. I think he may have been starting. So I can definitely understand, how you could feel that, and be like, maybe this, forget it. I'm done. And shout out and salute to your family for helping to encourage you to stay with it and to stick with it. I wanted to talk a little bit about you talked about, senior year, and when Reggie left over your junior year, it sounded like you were just trying to do what he did. But then you said that something clicked over the summer of your senior year, going into senior year, that you said, you know what, I'm gonna be my own person and I'm gonna do it my way. That must have been like, was that just a moment you had, or was it kind of like you were so disappointed in the way that you performed as a junior that came?
Yeah, I mean, you're just so disappointed, and then the way we lost that last game, I'm like, man, I don't ever want to feel like this ever again, And like I told my daughter, who's a great soccer star, for high school in her club, like sometimes you got to speak to existence what you want done, and I just told myself, you know what, like, all right, I'm probably just as good as Scott Harley and the Charlie Rogers and Corpse. I want my name in that paper like that. But listen, it's gonna be a price you're gonna have to pay. I know Conti was telling me there, there's a price you're gonna pay, King, if you want to be that great. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna miss workouts, or you want to hang out with your girlfriend, or you always got time for that, but those 2-3 hours you gotta go. And it just clicked, and I'm like, I can be good at this. Good. And that first game against Lakewood, you remember they talking all that smack, like, yeah, we barely lost last year, and we put that, and people got it. And I always tell this to my players now, like, yo, I think I'm the only player since '94 to open up a Long Branch season with a kickoff.
Yes.
To open the season. And then, Cody was like, yeah, bro. I said, yo, it was me and the kicker on the 50-yard line, 1-on-1. And I said, he ain't have a chance. And I remember we were still coming out from the pep rally, the old gym, and I was and everybody was jumping on the fence and everything like that. And it was like the best feeling. You like that moment when I'm by myself going to the end zone, like, this is the work that I put in. I'm going to deserve all year.
Yo, it's crazy you mentioned that moment, because that's a moment that I really have a vivid memory of. That opening, almost more than and we have memorable moments in that season. But that moment, I will always remember that kickoff, because I feel like it was unfair to Lakewood, because it was, if you remember, and I know you remember, but it was a weird, I think it was like a Thursday afternoon. It was like, because it was a Jewish holiday at the start of the season. So we had to play, before the sun went down. And we had just come out of a pep rally. Like they had no clue what they were walking into.
They was a hornet's nest. They had no clue, you know.
Yeah.
All the anger and frustration that, you know, us losing to Neptune 7-6.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. I mean, somebody had to pay for that.
They had to feel that.
They had to feel that, and that was Lakewood. That was our introduction, say, to Short Conference State. We're here for the long run. So.
Yeah, you know, and just mentioned that the junior season was it was a moment that kind of created the mindset that was needed to have the kind of senior season. Yeah. You know, and it was a blessing in disguise. So that happens. You did the Lakewood thing, you know, you do your thing. It was like everybody was balling. I think I even had to catch that game. Everybody was balling that game, right? So when you think about, you know, that season, what stands out to you, man? Like what are some of the moments that stand out to you personally, that from that season, your senior year?
We go into Mattawan and we're beating the 2-time defending Central Jersey Group 3 champs, and nobody gave us a chance at all to win that game. And we went over there, and it was like, you know we couldn't outscore them, so let's get them in a phone booth and let's go 12 rounds and see if they can withstand what we're going to give them. And they couldn't. Yeah. I mean, even though the score was 14-0, I think we physically dominated them like they've never been dominated in probably more than 2 years. You know, nobody has we dominated them from the time that kickoff to the time the final whistle. We should have beat them probably 35-0, even though it was 6. But they knew, they was like, well, we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Yeah, that was a crazy game, man. And it was like a dogfight. It was, what you described it being in the phone booth. It was probably one of the more physical games that we had that year too. And I think that, you know, when we won that game, I think people realized, like, all right, they really may be, you know, they may be legit. And from there, obviously, go on just a roll, go on a run. Yeah. Were there any moments in that during that season that you questioned yourself that year? Were there any moments like where you had doubt?
Hey, you know, because I remember when we were down against Neptune and you said, yo, T, just keep on playing. We're going to win this game. I remember that vividly. We were all in the defensive huddle, and, you know, the monster Scott Harley was just having a field day. And you know, like you can hopefully you wasn't going to stop them. You can contain them. That's what we did that day. And you was like, yo, we're gonna win this game. And I'm like, and I think that us being so tight from freshman year, sophomore year, and we each we're looking at each other, and I'm like, yo, let's go get this win. You know, Corley scored. We get the onside kick with Saj going, like, I've never seen somebody jump. He was higher than anybody. It was like a picture. The picture of that, it was like everybody's looking at him going to go get that ball.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
And then we scored the next play, and like people were leaving. It was like, oh man, our season over. You know, and then you can hear the crowd going.
Where
everybody's like where the light is at over there on Westwood. Everybody was running back,
trying to get back into the
They were trying to get back into the game, and you couldn't because it was like 7,000-8,000 people there.
Yeah, you know? that was a crazy. And you know, I don't even know if you have a memory, man, of that. The feeling you talked about, that feeling on the opening kickoff going back, but the feeling of taking that. What was it? What was it? 929? What was it?
131.
131. Taking that. What was it?
131 sweep.
131, and taking it down the sideline. And because I remember because I was on the sideline, and I remember just coming off of the sideline, looking down the sideline at you just running, and I'll always have this memory of Scott, because Scott was playing safety in that game, which was another crazy thing, like him just playing defense that game. But it was just a monster. Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden we line up and we're like, yo, he playing defense. And it didn't even slow him down running the ball. But I remember him almost like diving at, like coming off of the hash, and it was late because they had dropped their heads after that onside kick.
Yes.
I don't even think they were set defensively when we ran that play. I think that they were still like kind of in their feelings about us recovering that kick. Do you remember the feeling going down that sideline, bro?
I mean, I thought he had the angle on me, and I'm like, I'm gonna show you what track speed is. I'm gonna tell, and he thought he had the angle, and it was just and then another half a second later, that crowd went berserk.
Crazy.
Crazy. You see the Neptune fans was like, oh, we're done. And it's funny because years like I got the opportunity to talk to Scott. He called me on Facebook. He's like, yo, can you call me? And we talked. He was like, yo, we never got, we competed against each other. What's the name? And I'm seeing your daughter on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we had a great conversation. Me and Scott talked on. He sent me an East Carolina hoodie. He's down in North Carolina.
Word. That's what's up.
And he was like, yo, if you ever need anything, you call me. And for him to reach out to me and we having a conversation we talked for like an hour. And he was like, man, I always just wanted to reach out to you and speak to you because we've never had it. I've never, we even in all short practice, we never spoke to him.
Yeah.
Neptune wasn't, hey, nah, man, you corny. But we got the chance to really sit down as grown men and have a conversation. He was like, yo, you're doing your thing in Long Branch.
Yeah.
All of y'all are doing your thing. Yeah. He was like, man, I just want to let you know that, and he was like, yo, if you ever need anything, you call me.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And, shout out to Scott, man. I remember back in even Pop Warner, like battling versus him at Neptune. It was a known thing then what he was going to be on the football field. And from what I hear, even off the field, just a solid dude, you know what I'm saying? So, definitely shout out to him. Big Joe's on that team, man. Every time I run into Joe, we talking about, what it was like playing in that game and the respect that they have for us and the respect we have for them. I think that it definitely went both ways. So I want to, you mentioned something, T, that I want to talk a little bit about. You said that there was a time in that game where, it was like, are we going to win it? And you said that, we all were in a huddle and we all were looking at each other. And you talked about us having off the field relationships. Talk a little bit about the importance of that, because I agree with you. And I think a lot of people who have been in the chat tonight would agree as well that we had strong bonds outside of football.
Oh, yeah, outside football. I mean, like we all were tight. We all, how many freshman year, bro? We used to go to the mall. It'd be 30, 40 of us. And even like we going into our senior year, people got realized every Thursday night we would go to Pizza Hut on 36 where
true.
I don't know, what is it now? Is it the it's right on the line between Broadway and 36. If you make
right
there, that gas on the corner right there, that was Pizza Hut. And people got to realize we used to bring $5, $6 every Thursday night. We sit there for hours and we're hacking, we're talking, we're going over stuff. We would go over Coach Sim's house, he would feed us. And those bonds and those relationships, once you got in the field, I mean, it helps so much because I knew, and I tell people this all the time, we were friends off the field. We were friends. But once we got on the field, we were teammates.
Yeah.
And for me, as a teammate, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. So if I got to dig in your butt to say, you know what, Raw, let's go, man. We got to get out of your funk. I don't know what you in, but come on, man. As a teammate, you gotta look around and be like, all right, I can't disappoint him. Let's go. And I'm sure it's plenty of times, when you said DOT, man, come on, man, snap out of it, man. But I took it personal. It was like we all got one common goal, and that was to get to that championship game. So, and I took that from coaching, even when we won the championship in 17, when we won it in 18, like, yo, guys, your team, your friends off the field. Yes. But when you're on the field, you're teammates. You're not
Yeah.
friends. I'm not your
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
So I think
That's an interesting way of looking at things, T. I never really, because that's true, because that accountability piece
Mhm.
is so important, man. Um, and you, there's so many things I want to talk to you about, because you you dominate high school. You dominate, bro. You're just a phenomenal two-way player. Play defensive back where no one would dare throw to you, and then you played running back where you were getting the ball between 15 and 20 times a game. You know what I mean? Like, you never came off of the field. You never ever came off of the field. So you take that and you go off to college and play. Can you just share some of your transition stories coming from being like just crazy dominant in high school and what that was like transitioning to college?
I mean, for me, it was tough because once you get to college, like you're playing with 21, 22, 23-year-old grown men,
Mhm.
and and it's a transition. The language, the terminology you have to learn, and and my DB coach, Coach Hunter, he was African American. He was like, "Yo, you're good, but you're gonna wait your turn."
Mm,
And you're like,
mm.
like, wow, and he was like, "Yo, just every day you're gonna grind, you're gonna practice." When we had blowout games, hey, you're gonna go in, you're gonna play, you're gonna learn the system. And at times it was frustrating, but having great people around me that my brother was at Montclair with me.
Yeah.
I had a guy named Strad. He was an older guy from that Newark area.
Okay.
Mook and all those guys. They just said, "Yo, T, you got to be patient, man. Your time's gonna
It's
come.
gonna come.
It's
Yes.
gonna come." And man, I still have great relationships with those guys. Where I know Strad gave me basically all his master paperwork that he had from
Mm,
like little bro.
mm.
Here, go do your thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but college is just it's hard. I mean, everybody's good in college. Everybody's good. Everybody's lifting. Everybody's working out. Everybody's doing something. Whether you're a Division 1, 2, 3, everybody's good because the people at the end, Division 3, they're just not getting the opportunity to play Division 1, which they probably can, but they're
Yep,
not.
yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. In
So,
some cases, it's crazy because, especially the NJAC back then,
oh,
it was like it was basically JUCO.
mm-hmm.
It was like high level JUCO. That's what
Yeah.
like rowing was crazy during during
Bro,
those times.
Division 1 transfer going there. They
Yes.
national championship every year between them battling Mount Union. You had to go to Willie P and play Al
Hmm.
White. And back then being TCNJ, College of New Jersey. It was College
Yes.
of New Jersey back then.
Yes. Yes.
Play Jersey City. Then you had to go to Cortland, Ithaca. Like those guys up there was ballers.
Yeah.
I played.
So
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
2 years at Montclair. It didn't work out, and then I wound up transferring to Keene. But looking back now, I wish I would have stayed at Montclair,
Mm,
just finished my schooling.
hmm.
And I went to Keene for another 2 years. I had another kid by the time I was 21. And I was I was home. Just
Mm.
working and trying to figure out who I was as a person. You know,
Wow.
and I got a call one day from Mr. Farina. He was like, "Yo, come. I want to talk to you." And then that just basically how I got into the education field. And one thing he said, just keep on working. It's gonna come to you. You gotta wait your turn. And
Wow.
I grinded for 21 years, and this is where I'm at right now in my story.
So Mr. Farina gave you a call
Yeah,
way, way, way back, 20 plus years ago.
yeah.
And that's what got you like connected to the Board of Education and working in the school system.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Did you ever like
Not in a million
when
years. Not.
And just I mean, just having a rapport with Mr. Farina do middle school.
yeah, principal. Yeah.
He was like, "Yo, you're a good kid. I want to give you an opportunity. I mean, to come into the school system and work and go back to school, and if you want to coach and impact kids." And he was like, "Yo, so, Darren, what you want to do? I don't got all day, you know." Like, thank you, Miss Farina, for this opportunity. I appreciate it, and he just told me, like, you got to go back to school. I don't know when, but
Yeah.
go back to school.
And you get into coaching, you get into being an educator, and we actually linked up. I think one year, just you and Jay. I think I think you did 1 year freshman, right? Did you do
Yeah.
one with you and Jay were
Yeah.
freshmen? I think with maybe Nick, and then you came up with varsity,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that grind, and if you've ever coached varsity, if you play varsity sports, you know what time it is. But if you coach varsity football, especially, that's a grind, bro. Like that is, I mean, I did 6 years. I don't know how you did 20. What, you at 20 years now?
1.
21. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it, because when you know that grind, that's like 20 summers, 21 like 20 summers. Like talk about your experiences as a coach, man, and some of the things that keep you inspired, you know, uh, uh, all of these years in working with young people.
Oh man, this coaching it's a grind. High school football now it's 365 days, and you're basically from Monday to Saturday. Basically, I mean, sometimes Sunday.
Sunday, yes, yes,
You're away from your family, and you just but the end is just so good. I love being around the kids. You know what I mean? Just the
yeah,
stories that you hear, the testimonies that the negatives, the positive, went from positive. And those kids call me back. One kid that I coached, Mike Bland. I coached for 4 years. Is my daughter's godfather.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Wow,
and
wow,
I see kids on the Kenny Bannocks, the Joey Nunez. You see
yeah,
those little kids grow up now, down their husband. Some of them have their fathers now. And then I was talking to Kenny Bandy the other day. He said, "Coach, I thank you so much. You were on me all the time, but I now, as I got older, I understood what you were trying to
mm-hmm.
tell me when I was 17, 18 years old. They didn't understand that.
Yes, yes,
The Corey who hit me up like, yo, Coach, all those conversations we had, you know, uh, the Greg Otage, you see,
yeah,
great dads,
yeah, yes,
story,
yes.
that,
Yo,
that, you know,
it's those names you mentioned, man. They bring back a lot of memories, and these kids, when you're coaching them, they had a hate for you, they had love for you all at the same time, because that's what it was about. If you were doing it right, that's what it was about. There were times that they hated you, but then they knew that what you were trying to do is put them in position to be ultimately to be great young men, but then also to be established great football players. So you do 21 years, man. You deserve, bro. I hope they got something going up somewhere, bro. Whether it's a jersey somewhere, whether it's I don't care if it's a coaching whistle. Like 21 years, fam. I don't know. I mean, outside of obviously, Danny's been there with you during that time. You start looking at tenure as a head coach or assistant coach in the district, and that's got to be up there in terms of years.
yes, I think so. I think Danny came 99. I came the following year,
Yeah,
and it's just like I told people, I came in as a young man who had no direction to a grown man leaving with a college degree and a master's degree, and you know.
and and let's talk about that, T, because you talked about you went off, you played at Montclair, you did 2 years at Montclair. You transferred to, which I remember when I was in Jersey City at the time, I was always bragging on you when you was at Montclair. Because my roommate, he played on state at that year. So I will always be bragging on you. I think you had one of those within those 2 years, you had like a punt return for a touchdown, I believe, right?
When I my first game at King University.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay. So yeah, I always remember bragging. But so you go and you transfer to King and you don't finish your bachelor's, right? So talk to us about, you talked about Mr. Farina saying you got to go back to school. When did it finally really click where you were like, all right, I got to get this done. I got to get this degree done?
Hey, I tell people this all the time. I think it was after the New Brunswick game when we lost. I met my wife. We was up north at a party. I met my wife. So that was like 2000, whenever Mike Blandon got 2003, 4.
Yes.
I met her.
2003. I think it was 2003. Yes.
I've been with my wife since then. And
wow.
She was just getting to education herself. I think she was teaching at Jersey City. I moved from Long Branch up to Union. You know, we was together 10 years, and then we got married. But her aunt always pushed her to go get as many masters as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the catalyst who really was like, yo, listen. She always tell me, go when you're ready to go back to school. Sometimes you're not ready yet. You know,
yes.
What's the name? And then one day it was like 2016. She's like, you're ready. Let's go. We're gonna fill out the financial aid. You're going back to school. I don't care. We're gonna get this done. We're gonna get it done. And I was nervous at first, and then you take that first class, and you're like, all right, I got an A. You take the second class. That's when I got my C, and she was upset because I had helped somebody help me, and I shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, that it just started rolling. I just got into a routine. I just shut everything. Let's grind now. And I grinded for 2 years, and then and that diploma came in the mail, and like you talking about a kid crying, it's okay. And my daughter's like, yo, why dad crying? She's like, yo, he went back. This is something that I think she's gonna remember for the rest of it. I just stood in the corner on the couch, just crying, just holding my. I did it. I did it, and then I was like, I'm done. And then one day I was doing garden work. I was like, no, I'm going back. I want more.
Mm-hmm.
I want more. My counselor called me 2 days before the class was on. He's like, yo, let's go. I was like, all right. So I jumped into master's class last year, August. It was August 2020. And I just grinded for 60 weeks. And this 60 weeks is today.
Wow. So you had it like, for this one, you must have set a time, like, I'm getting this done by.
This is when, because all the classes started in August. So I was like, I'm going to get it done by Halloween. I need to get this done. People don't realize it. I was in class when we were in from June. I was still teaching in the classroom, going to football practice 7 days a week. Those were the 2 championship runs. We were going from June to December.
So that was like, damn.
Late nights, I'm staying up 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. My house is quiet. I'm just on the computer. I would go to bed. I would wake up at 4. I wake up at 4:30 every morning, and I would just grinding every single day, doing homework and studying, and it paid. And in the end, it paid off.
It definitely did, man. And I'm sure that it means so much to have accomplished that schooling wise, and then to accomplish it while having a full-fledged career, a family, and then obligations in terms of coaching, bro. That You know, that needs to be applauded, man, because that's like 18-hour days. Like those are 18, those are basically 18, 19-hour days.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And
Yes.
some days you just break it down, and you got Coach George. Oh, we got a meeting. Like I would come back home Sunday nights or whenever, and just I'm watching film on my
Mhm.
phone. I'm typing paper up, but some way somehow I just kept on believing in myself. I'm listening to my wife saying, "Yo, you're okay. Relax. You got this. You got to." I had a great support staff, and like I said, I'm here now. And now, like I tell people, I got a seat at the table now.
And it's bro, and it's a beautiful place to be. And and this is what I'll say to you, obviously the degree and that paperwork is important. It's essential, in a lot of situations. Education is essential. Whatever type of education you're gonna get, whether it's a technical trade, whether it's traditional college, being educated is important. But I think that your greatest work, bro, has been what you have done for that community in Long Branch over 21 years, fam. Like you've given a lot of yourself, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying, over those years, and putting in and being a part of a lot of, you mentioned some names, you couldn't even sit here and mention them all. Of all of those names that you mentioned, plus, of being a positive role model and influence, in those kids' lives. So you saying you got a seat at the table. In my opinion, the work that you put in, even without the degrees, puts you in place, to have a seat, at the table. And those experiences that you have are very important. But now with the degrees, it's like it's a bonus, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So what do you like? What's the next phase, man? Like once coaching is over, you said this was your final ride, in terms of coaching. What are your goals? What's next? What do you want to do next? That opens up a lot of time, bro.
My daughter's a sophomore at RBC. That's why I'm a Casey. People got to realize Long Branch at heart, but I am a Casey. But I mean, she's a rising sophomore. One of the best sophomores in the state. She plays for one of the best travel programs in the country at it's called PDA, Player Development Academy. Uh,
Mm,
and I'm going to spend a lot of money because I put so much time and effort into other people's kids. She's going to get that now, and I've ref too. I am
okay.
the other side. I mean, after this podcast, I have to jump in on class. We have classes every either Tuesdays or Thursdays. My
Okay.
they know where I'm at. So
Okay.
refing. So I'll be doing I got a couple offers to be on a crew next year. So I don't know what I'm.
Where
Yeah. I got.
so this is you're doing football officiating then?
Yes, I am.
Wow, that's what's up, man. That's tough to crack into as well. That's what's up.
You got to know.
Congratulations.
Like people be thinking oh, you be like, nah, man, be quiet. You don't know the rules. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a lot of rules. People got to
No
realize
cap.
it's no cap. They're training me to be a linesman too. So
Okay.
where I'm a scrimmage on it,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna still be near the game that I love, but
Hmm.
it's time for me to give my daughter that time and energy because you're never gonna get that time back. If I could have applied for the probably high school job and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
might have a 50-50 chance if
Yeah.
I'm never going to be home. My wife is going to be everywhere with my daughter. And I'm like, you know, looking on my phone, live streaming again. No, I'm going to be
Hmm.
there. We're going to train. I'm going to be able to say, you know what, let's get up in the morning. Let's go train instead of being at practice. And so I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be busy. Um, you
I
know,
love that.
and plus it's June 15th is her recruiting year. That's when colleges can talk to her.
Okay.
And
So
that's
things are
going to
going to get
be
busy for her.
get
Yeah.
busy for her, and as a father I need to be there for her,
True. True.
not as a coach. It wasn't as a father giving her we're talking now like, hey, this is, write down your 10, 15 schools you want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now we can do our
Mm-hmm.
search. June come, you'll have a pretty idea where, where you want to go. I think we're going to do an early commitment ourselves in
That's
soccer.
what's up. That's
Maybe
what's up.
around this time next year, she's going to decide where she wants to go
Make a choice.
Yes.
Well, shout out to Maya. I always was trying to. She was at the middle school. I was working. I was still working in Mattawan, and I will always try to get her to stay. To be on to go over to the high school in Mattawan. I'm like, who would ever thought that I would be in Mattawan? First of all, and then try to recruit someone, a star athlete like her, and a great student. I got a chance to see her in class, and just a phenomenal student and young lady. Shout out to you and your wife for raising her up. But I'm looking forward to see, where she ends up. And I know that she does a lot in terms of community stuff. So that's always important, and volunteering and things. So salute to Maya for doing her thing, and good luck to RBC. So you want to do the dad thing, which I think is very important. It's so funny because I never pushed my son or my daughter into sports, right? I wanted them to find their own way or whatever. And my son just started taking like a liking to basketball. So, I've been taking him out and doing things with him, drilling him and stuff. And I always want to ask parents, like, especially those who play sports and who excelled in sports, what is it? How do you find a balance of being a competitive parent in terms of, trying to get the most out of your child in this case, but then also like not overdoing it? Like how do you find that that's a struggle?
It was a struggle at first, and then, you come to realization like, yo, I got to back off.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes when you back off and you put your trust in somebody else, like I did. His name is Coach Val. He's over there. Well, Applebee's in the back there in Tinton Falls. It's called.
Okay. Yeah, I know that training. That training's yes. Yep.
I put my trust in him, and and she took off because it was another voice. It wasn't just my voice constantly.
Yeah.
You got to work out. You got. Coach Val's like 6'4". He's huge, bald head, and he don't play with Maya.
Yeah.
Those kids, you're gonna come in, you're gonna grind. You're paying him. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, Maya, I'm paying him. So, you gotta get on your grind. You gotta get on your grind. And and I once I backed off as a parent, and I just, I might, I'll give her some words of wisdom here and there, but she took off from there because I backed off as a parent. I knew like, if I just keep on, she's gonna resist. She's fighting it. But I took her to Val, and it's like, she started opening up. She started talking to Val. She started, and Val, he's always sending me words of encouragement for Maya.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank him every single day for the relationship I've built with Coach Val.
That's what's up, man. I always like to ask, athletes, former athletes, that kind of question when it comes to, their children. And it's just different, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but I just like to get, those perspectives. One of the things that, I wanted to ask you, bro, is if you had to look back at your most memorable moment as a player, any sport, what would be your most memorable moment?
I think our most memorable moment is beating that Neptune team. I don't care what nobody. I walked off that field at Neptune junior year. I went home and cried like a 2-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "It's gonna be okay, but you know what you got to do.
Yeah.
Make a decision. Do you want to party, or because Harley, he's in the weight room.
Work. Yeah.
He's working. Eddie Conti's working. Charlie Rogers is working. So do you want to be there?" And I was just, and we came to that scene when we Sarge got that ball back on that onside. I know it's like, yo, they're done. We don't win this game. They're done.
It was over.
That crowd walking through that fence after that game, and who was at that game, and this is dope. You know what I mean? And you sneak out the front door because too many. Too many things and waiting for you in the back. Like, they call. I meet you in the front. I was front. And we were parked across the street where the where that white where you across.
Yep. From the high school, yes, behind the house, that White House, yep. That wasn't you. I still don't know, T. If and I coached for a lot of years, and we were in some big games coaching wise. The energy of that Neptune game, there's not many that high school wise, that I've experienced that matched that.
No. Only thing I can remember matching that energy when we beat Brick in 2018. But we were playing home, and I've never seen it. That might have matched that Neptune game.
That was crazy.
That was crazy because it was just two teams on a collision all year. And when Kevin Cerruti caught that interception return, or what's the name, and you looked in the stand, you seen the whole hood. And they would support, and
true
Neptune. But that Neptune game was 10. People got to realize it was 8,000-9,000 people there.
Easy. Yeah.
It was a Saturday after, back then we didn't play night games, so it was Saturday. Yeah. You had to pick where, Ocean played the Friday night game, so everybody was at Neptune in '93 to see us play Neptune.
Yeah, that, and you know what, and some people remember this, but that game that day, Florida State played Notre Dame. That was the crazy Charlie Ward Florida State Notre Dame game was that same day. Because I remember the night before we played Neptune, and there were some people was like, man, I want to watch the Notre Dame Florida State game, but I want to come, but I remember catching the end of that game, going home. But I would have to agree with you. I think that was one of the most memorable moments on that field, man, going back there. In the Brick game, I did see that game on a stream, but I wasn't in the stand. So, I couldn't. That New Brunswick game had crazy energy too. That was a crazy that game, right? We weren't a rivalry, but that had that kind of feeling to it. That crowd.
No, because remember the year before we played them, we scrimmaged them and we embarrassed them.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop Otay. He had
Yep.
People got that New Brunswick team from their senior class to sophomore class had 12 Division I players going to school with Dwayne Jarrett going to USC playing with Reggie Bush.
Yep.
Jonathan Casillas, who won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And
they had pros. Yep.
Had pros, and people got to realize that how good New Brunswick was. That spanking we gave them at Long Branch the year before.
And that brings me to my next point, is what you just mentioned about that New Brunswick team and about that year and playing them that year, which was like, it was basically playing. I think there ended up being 2 NFL. I think Jared and Casillas, I think those were the only 2 NFL, but they did have a ton of
Division I,
a ton of Division I players on that team. What, in terms of coaching, if you would say your most memorable moment, what would your most memorable moment be as a coach?
I have 2. When we went to Matawan the week before and we beat the number 3 team in the state, 14-0 in Matawan. And then in 2017, I mean, so many disappointments. You get close and you didn't, and I finally got to hold that state championship.
Yeah.
That it's no other feeling. How many times we was on the bus and we're coming home, and you're just you're hurting.
Yeah.
I finally got to be on the other side of that fence where in my hand, I'm not letting it go, and we're just having a great time coming home. And it was it was a great Freehold team that they beat us 2 weeks before. um Things just fell our way.
Yeah.
We scored
Yeah.
actually what we wanted to do, because we know if we were going to get in overtime, we probably would have lost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we would have lost, it would have been no regret. We left it all out there, and the 2-point play that we beat them with, we put it in on Wednesday.
Wow.
Greg Pinto
Wow.
on Wednesday. And
Wow.
kept on messing it up. Friday, Saturday, we got it. We was like, yo, listen, if we gotta go for 2, we're gonna get this.
This is what we're gonna do.
We
Wow.
went trips right. We went trips right with a back. We took Jermaine out. We put in our back, because they know when we roll out, they would bring the backer.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We realized it when they brought that backer. So now we went trips right with the back to the boundary. We fade, slant.
If ran them underneath.
And we ran a bench. If he came, we were bench. They went man, and he was just caught. He was in no man's land, and we threw it to Eli Sharon, who that was his first game playing offense all day.
Wow.
And that was my most memorable moment,
bro.
Beating them in Mattawan.
That was I remember watching. I was part of the Mattawan win, which was a great win. But then the watching that game, I was happy for all of y'all, man, because as you said, there was a lot of years that we were like this close to in losing, because we were just, I mean, it was the Shore Conference was just flooded with talent during those years. It was almost unfortunate, because the teams we had were super talented, and in any other year easily win state championships. Mm-hmm. But you're talking about the Moreno years, Middletown South Wall was crazy during those times. Like, it was just the Shore Conference was loaded. So when y'all won those back-to-backs, man, especially that first one with the Freehold, and I remember talking to Coach Georgia after that game, because I was like, was that mesh? Because it looked like mesh, from up top. It looked like it was you're running, which it sounds a little bit like it was mesh, and running the back out and getting him that touchdown. And I was like, was there any chance you were kicking it? And he was like, no, we were going, So I know that had to be a good feeling that night.
And I think as soon as he threw that ball, I was on the field running. So it was game over.
True. So, Coach, man, it's been a great. First of all, I feel privileged to have had you on tonight. Thank you for, especially a day like you had today. This was a big day for you. So I definitely appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your story with our community. And shout out to Fred Clark, shout out to JJ joining in tonight. What I like to do, man, is always ask my guests, the guests of the show, if you could go back and give advice to your high school self, what that advice would be and why.
I think if I can go back and talk to myself, was to be more humble. Just be more humble. I mean, I was arrogant. I was cocky. I really didn't listen to nobody. I thought, I'm the man. But now if I can just sit myself down and be like, yo, listen, just take it all in, be more humble, just have more empathy for what people are telling you. Mm-hmm. And I think that would have made me a more better person then. But I had to learn, because I'm that person now. Would be like, oh, TK, like, now the person I was when we was in high school is not the same person I am today. I've grown so much. Like I said, whoever thought I would be a soccer dad, I'm into soccer, I would just tell myself, just listen to what people are telling you, because it's a reason why they're sitting down and telling you, they're telling you something. And you sometimes, you're hard-headed, you think you know it all, and you don't. And I just took a piece from everybody, and as I got older, I was like, yo, Terrence, this is what Ms. Munson was talking about. This is what Coach was talking about. This was Coach Mooney, Coach Evans, and all those, Coach Hall and Coach Mr. Oldham and Miss Oldham was talking about. and I take that and I put it in a pot, but and I put my own spice in it and I stir it up, and now wow, now Coach King is telling these kids what they
This is what, yes.
yes.
Yes. Sharad, shout out to Sharad, said that was a good answer. And I think anybody who knows you, and we all grew up together, that is a good answer coming from you, bro, because you had we had 3 or 4 names for you. It was T King, it was Terry King, it was Terrence, and they all had like the whatever like mode you were in. Like you had these different personalities. And you know, when you talked about, because you knew how to talk, talk game. And I think that was more T King, you know what I'm saying, when it was there.
Oh, yeah. And you just grow over the years, and I'm just, man, I'm hey, Doc, I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to meet my wife, because I don't know where I would be at today with her. And I think sometimes she looks at it like, yo, you don't. Sometimes people don't think you appreciate it, man. I appreciate her more than she'll ever know.
That's what's up.
More than she'll ever know, because without her, I'm not sitting here today telling y'all like I just finished my last class, my last assignment for my master's degree. I'm not sitting here telling you that I went back to school because she pushed me to go back to school and become a better dad, a better father. So, man,
salute to Mrs. King. Salute to Mrs. King. She's still in education, right, T?
Yeah, she's in education. I think she's like a year or two behind me. She's like year. She's teaches at East Orange School District, the Cicely Tyson Elementary School.
Oh, word. Yeah. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Maybe we have to get her up on the show as well, bro. I love to get the educators on. We definitely love, Coach King. We definitely got love for you. We always have had love for you, man. And just very super proud of, bro, what you've done over the years. And like I said, you definitely got a place. I don't know if you're not already in that Hall of Fame in Long Branch, they need to make that happen quick. Because you definitely got my vote, bro. So salute to you. All of the things that you've done over the years, and good luck, man, this season, and y'all got a nice thing going right now. I've been following, keep it going, man. Keep those kids playing hard, and getting these dubs, bro.
Yeah, we got a big one tomorrow night against Rumson, and then next week is the playoffs.
That's what's up, man. It's the good time of year, man. And y'all got good weather still, so that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. So, to all of you who joined in tonight, man, shout out to LA. He said he's done. He said he's retiring, man. He's going with Maya, making sure she do her soccer thing, yo. But I'm with you, LA. I'm with you. I think Coach will make a great head coach. But shout out to everybody who joined in. The chat was crazy tonight. We really appreciate you coming in, showing support for Coach King, one of Long Branch's own, who has done very, very well. And like I said, he's definitely got my vote to get into that Hall of Fame. I know it's coming, for just doing the things that you've done as a student athlete, but even now as a coach. So thanks, sis. I appreciate you jumping on tonight. So we're going to wrap it up tonight. We'll be back with another episode next week of the Purpose in Practice podcast. Shout out to you, Cheese. We got love for you, brother. And we will see you next time. So be safe out there. Go Long Branch. Good luck to the football team. Go get that W against our Rumson. He said Rumson, right? Go get that W versus Rumson. Coach Corley, what's up, brother? AD doing this thing, man. A lot of folks up here tonight, bro. You got a lot of love tonight for you, Coach King. A lot of love, man. But I'm really, 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 really happy for all of y'all doing y'all thing and continue to do it, man, because y'all making things happen. So with that said, we're going to be signing off tonight from the show. Another great episode with a great community person who is doing great things. So peace out, and we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
It's a 9-chord banger. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to Purpose and Practice. Ayy, Yeah, purpose and practice. Keep your mental sharp. Learn all the tactics. Dr. Ross dropping knowledge to the masses. Man, you now tuned in to purpose and practice. Hey, yeah, purpose and practice.